Today I will show you the best for the future gaming PCs that you can buy actually right now. And what does for the future mean? Well, basically it's a gaming PC without a GPU, so in a future where the market goes back to the normal price, you're looking to upgrade these gaming PCs with a new GPU. So let's say you buy one of these PCs and the market goes down, you can get a GTX 1660 Ti for just $250, and that is a great deal. So I will show you two PC builds and two Prebuilt PCs in case you want to buy a gaming PC that's already built or you want to build it by your own. My honest recommendation is that it really depends on you. Do you want to build your first PC or you just want a PC that's already built? So now let's start. We are going to start with a Prebuilt PC, and that is the ABG PC Qbox series with the Ryzen 5 5600G. You also get a liquid cooler, which I don't think is really necessary for the CPU, but it's something nice for the future upgrades. CPU temps are going to stay cool, so that's something really good. You also get 8 gigs of RAM. This is not dual channel, that is the only downside for this PC, so you're looking to upgrade as well the RAM to 16 gigs on dual channel, and you also get 500 gigs of SSD, which might be enough for you. That really depends on the games that you're going to download. This gaming PC for right now is going to be enough maybe for 1080p 60 FPS average in competitive games. You're also going to be able to play games like GTA 5 at 60 FPS average, but on medium to low settings. You can't expect this PC to run GTA 5 at high or ultra settings at above 60 FPS on average, but still a pretty good deal considering that you're going to put a GPU in the future, and you also get a Ryzen 5 5600G, which is a really good CPU for the price right now. Now I would buy this PC if I want to put a GPU like the RTX 3060, 2060 Super or the GTX 1660 Ti. I wouldn't buy this PC if I want to put a 3080, a 3070 Ti or a 3070. That's why I will show you a better pre-build and PC build later with better components overall in case you want to put high-end hardware in the future. So I'm going to talk about now the PC build. $20 less, so you're being charged $20 for someone to build this PC for you, but I think this PC build is going to be a better option, and let me explain why. You get the same exact CPU, the Ryzen 5 5600G, there's no difference there. You also get a CPU cooler, not a liquid cooler of course, because I don't think it's necessary for this Ryzen 5. Of course I put a good cooler, it's a Cooler Master Hyper 212 Evo. I think it's one of the best budget CPU coolers out there, so temps for the CPU are not going to be bad, don't worry. You also get an MSI B550 motherboard, which is an ITX motherboard, not like the motherboard for the Prebuilt PC, which is a mini ATX. What does this mean? Basically the case is bigger, so for future upgrades, if you're going to buy a GPU that's pretty big, this PC is definitely for you. And I think an ATX gaming PC is actually nicer for the looks, but that really depends on you. But I think anyways that a bigger case is more useful for the future. You also get 16 gigs of RAM on dual channel at 3200 MHz, CL16 memory, so you get more RAM than the Prebuilt PC. You get 500 gigs of SSD. You can upgrade this to a terabyte of SSD if you want for $40 extra from the same Western Digital Blue NVMe SSD. You also get a Corsair 4000D for the case, which I think is one of the best cases out there for the airflow, and it's also not that expensive, so that's something really good. And you get a 650 watts 80 plus gold certified power supply for those future upgrades. So once again, I think this PC build is better, but if you want a Prebuilt PC, then go with the ABG gaming desktop, because anyways you're aiming for the future, so those 8 gigs of RAM of the Prebuilt PC, you're going to be upgrading those in the future as well. And the gaming difference for right now is not going to be that big actually. Both of these Prebuilt PC and PC build are going to perform almost the same for now. The main difference is going to come when you put a GPU, but it's not going to be that big of a difference either, so just go with the one that you like the most. Then for the last PC, which is another one from ABG PC, it actually has the same case, but this one has the Ryzen 7 5700G 8-core 16-thread CPU. This is great for video editing as well, multitasking and streaming with one PC, so keep that in mind. You also get a 240mm liquid cooler instead of that 120mm from the other PC. You get 16 gigs of RAM on dual channel, 3200 MHz, so you don't need to upgrade anything there, and you also get the same exact 500 gigs of SSD. So this is a gaming PC that for the future you're aiming at a higher end graphics card, maybe a 3060 Ti, a 3070. You're not aiming for the GTX 1660 or 1660 Super, because those are 1080p graphics cards. So here you're also aiming for a 1440p monitor or maybe a 1080p 240Hz one, because if you're going to build a high-end gaming PC in the future, you also want a high-end monitor. That's how it works, because if you're just going to use a 1080p 144Hz one or maybe a 1080p 60Hz monitor, then you're wasting your money with a high-end gaming PC. Just go with the 5600G with the other pre-built or PC build and you're going to be more than fine. But if you're going to buy a 1440p monitor at least, or you're thinking of doing a lot of multitasking, 3D rendering and video editing, then this PC is for you. And we have the PC build for the high-end gaming PC. It has the same Ryzen 7 5700G. For gaming right now, actually it's almost the same performance as the Ryzen 5 5600G. So if you're thinking of buying a gaming PC for the future, but you also want to play right now and you think that the Ryzen 7 is going to make a huge difference, it doesn't. So if you're just going to buy this high-end for the future gaming desktop, for right now, don't buy it because it's going to be the same performance as the 5600G. For the CPU cooler, I picked a better one, the Be Quiet Darrock Pro 4. I think this one is one of the best air coolers out there. It's going to be enough for the Ryzen 7 5700G. I also picked the same motherboard, the MSI B550A Pro ATX motherboard. I picked the same exact 16 gigs of RAM, 2x8, 3200 MHz. If you're going to do a streaming, maybe you want 32 gigs of RAM instead of 16. That is completely up to you. But I picked 16 because I'm picking gaming PCs just for gaming. 16 gigs of RAM are also really good for multitasking, but it's not going to be the same as the 32 gigs of RAM stick. You also get a terabyte of SSD, so you're going to get more storage than the Prebuilt PC, and that is something important because if you're going to download a lot of games, you want to have at least a terabyte of SSD or hard drive. Of course, SSD is better, it's going to be way faster for load times, so that's why I picked the AMD2 1 terabyte of SSD. You also get the same case, the 4000D. Once again, I think it's going to be enough for this PC, and you get a 750 watts 80 plus core certified power supply, which is going to be better than that 600 watts power supply from the high-end Prebuilt PC. So keep that in mind, because if you want to put like a 3080 or 3070 Ti, you want to put it to this PC build, not to the other Prebuilt PC. Again, it's going to be enough for the Prebuilt PC, but you want to have anyway a better power supply for those future upgrades and not to cause any problems in the future. So that's why I picked this one. In my personal opinion, this PC build is going to be a way better option than the Prebuilt PC, once again for the future, because for right now the performance will be the same. So if you're searching a gaming PC right now, I wouldn't buy any of these PC builds or Prebuilt PCs. I would go with maybe an OEM system or maybe the Cyber Power PC from Amazon that's $1,000 and already has the RTX 2060 and the i5 11400. That combination is going to be really great for 1080p, and also it's going to be great for that 1080p 240 FPS on average experience right now. So if you're searching a gaming PC to play games right now, you have my video about my top 5 Prebuilt PCs to play right now 2021-2022 in the top right of the screen. So that was my whole list. If you found it helpful, please hit like and subscribe, and most importantly hit the bell button so you get notified when I upload this type of content, which I do from 3 to 5 times a week. My conclusion basically is I recommend you these PC builds instead of the Prebuilt PCs, but if you can't build it by yourself because you don't want to, maybe you think it's risky, or maybe you just want someone to build it for you, then just go with the Prebuilt PCs, are going to be just fine. And like I said, these PCs are for the future. Don't expect a 1080p 144 FPS on average experience right now unless you're playing games like CSGO, but you can still get some nice gaming experience at 1080p 60 FPS average or 720p 144 FPS on average in competitive games, so that really depends on your necessities. Thank you guys for watching, thank you for the support, and I will see you on the next one.